What's going on, everybody? If you looked at the market today, you'll see it's a very exciting market today for small caps. There's a lot going on today. Indy is up nearly 20% on some news of an increased revenue expectation. I'm just going to brush over that real quick, and then we're going to get into what's going on with CleanSpark. So let's get this started. If you like these videos, consider hitting the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's look at what's going on. So first off, real quick, Indy semiconductor stock. Very bullish on this one over the long term. And they do expect by the end of their fiscal year, they're going to see profitability. Now, time will tell if that becomes a reality, but they did just release an update saying that they're giving increased guidance. And on this news, it's up nearly 20% today, a very nice move to the upside. Now, before this news, Indy Semiconductor, at least from a chart perspective, was not doing all that great. We saw it just a few days ago on October 11 create new lows, which is obviously bearish. But this news that just released was its saving grace. It broke out of those lows, and today I gotta say it's really looking good. Now, would I buy on a 20% update? Of course not. I would wait for it to cool down a bit, but I'm still extremely bullish on this stock over the long term. They have insane revenue growth, and of course they expect profitability very soon. And for some quick context, just look at how much revenue they were pulling in back in August of 2021, a $9 million quarter. They are now expecting a $60 million quarter for this earnings. And the last quarter, they saw $52 million. So we went from right around a $10 million revenue per quarter to over 50, just like that. And I do believe in less than 2 more years, we are going to see well over 100 million in revenue and consistent profitability here with Indy Semiconductor. But Indy is just doing fantastic today. And obviously, you know, a day like this, don't be surprised to see a little pullback over the next few days, as there may be a little bit of profit taking. However, for me, I see Indy as a multi-year stock. I do see it as a very long-term stock. I think it's going to play out beautifully. Now let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin. Over Sunday night, we started seeing it rally back up, start heading towards 28,000. And some false news was released that the spot ETF was approved. Now it looks like some news articles were jumping the gun a bit, but that caused Bitcoin to nearly test $30,000 before pulling back as news came out that this was just false news. And this is a good way to look at, you know, what happened here. While the news about the SEC approving a spot Bitcoin ETF on Monday was a false alarm, it was also a good dress rehearsal for when the regulator delivers a final decision on the applications. It gives us an idea of how quickly things can move, whether to the upside or to the downside. So there will be a lot of volatility circulating around this spot ETF approval news, whether it does get approved or somehow the SEC denies it. I do think it is going to get approved. And I went over this last Friday. I'll try to leave you guys either an article down below or I'll just leave my video at the end screen or something. But basically the deadline ran out here. The SEC would not appeal a recent court ruling that found it was wrong to reject an application from Grayscale to create a spot Bitcoin ETF in a case that has been closely watched by the crypto industry. Now we have to keep an eye on what's moving forwards here. The District of Columbia Court of Appeals in Washington is now expected to issue a mandate within the next week specifying how its decision in the case should be executed, which will likely include instructing the SEC to revisit Grayscale's application. So I do believe that the SEC is under hot water right now. They have to make the right decisions, and Congress did say they will subpoena the SEC. I believe Congress is starting to get a little fed up here, just as you and I are. Gary Gensler and the SEC just keeps delaying these approvals to the point that even Congress is getting involved. And the court even said that the SEC's claim was invalid. That was not a good enough reason to reject the spot ETF. So I do believe we'll see news here that the spot ETF will be approved. I could be wrong, but that's just where my gut is at. That's just what I think is coming along. Otherwise, Gary Gensler and the SEC will have to come up with one hell of a good reason for why they're going to deny these spot ETFs once again. Now, before I go here, I did want to show you guys CleanSpark. We're looking at a pretty nice day here today, up 10%, and we just saw a breakout of this descending wedge. And the next thing to watch out for is this descending channel. Are we going to start heading towards $5 only to get rejected and pull back down and maybe even create new lows? Or are we going to follow this ascending trend line that's been established back in December of 2022 when CleanSpark hit its bottom and has been running up ever since? Really depends on where you want to look, but so far this ascending long-term trend line has been maintained. So if we fall back from here, if there's some profit taking and we break 350, this will likely be a fail of this long-term trend and we may pull further down. However, based on the timeline of the halving, we're getting so close, based on where the Fed is at for raising rates, and based on the possibility of getting these spot Bitcoin ETFs approved, I do personally think it's safe to say that the bottom is in back in December 2022, and we're not going to see CleanSpark under $2 ever again. Now that's just simply my opinion, but I wholeheartedly believe that. I do think the bottom is in for both Bitcoin and CleanSpark and many of these Bitcoin miners. And I do think now is a great opportunity to continue adding to these miners as we start getting ready for what's to come in the next year. But thanks again for watching, guys. Let me know what you're watching in the market right now. It's very nice to see a day like this that just kind of comes out of nowhere. I do believe there is a lot more to come. Thanks again for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.